Hey, what's good, y'all? It's your boy DJ Fanatic Beats, content contributor for LiveOffBeats.com. Today's video, I definitely have another treat for you. It's a beat breakdown of a nice soulful sample beat. I definitely can hear, you know what I heard? I was inspired to hear Big Crit on this, as well as Lil Wayne, or, like a southern artist. Man, there's so many artists I can hear on this, but I'm gonna let you be the judge and see what you think about it. This beat actually is it's up there with my top 10 most popular beats. Probably because of the use of sample use, or it might just be how it all just came together. For some reason, you know what? Sound selection is important too, because not many sample beats are very popular like this. I don't know. I was really inspired and I put it together, and I just like how everything came together. So I'm going to share the behind the scenes of things that I chose to do with it. So I started out, actually, before I forget, if you like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at DJ Fanatic Beats, or Instagram as well at Sounds for Producers. DJ Fanatic, spelled Phanatic. So to jump into this, let's see here. We're gonna start with the sample. With sample beats, it's, you can start with drums, or you can start with drums and then add the sample. I usually like to start with the sample because that is like the foundation, and then I work around that. There's no right or wrong, especially, creating music. It's beats, it's art. You're painting with sound. You're making, you're building your own, I don't know, Statue of Liberty out of sound. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's architecture, but with sound. You're building your own house. So there's no right or wrong. It's just different ways of creating. And sometimes some people end up in the same place, but taking different destinations. So, and sometimes destinations could be faster. So anyway, hopefully this is a quick way I teach you how to use a sample. So what I used actually is, this is the sample, and I used it, Slicex. Slicex is usually in FL Studio. It's free for most accounts, I believe. But all I did is just drag in a sample and then set these markers. You can set them manually, or you can just use the auto slice. I wouldn't recommend auto slice with this type of sample, maybe for drums or like a drum beat or whatever, drum break. You can also use Serato sample, which is super easy to add slices. So I use Slicex for this. So let me just play the sample pattern that I made. So there you go. Basically, it's a bunch of chops of samples. And notice like how I layered some samples. Like, you can do that as well to kind of create some cool little new sounds, basically. Because when you played them together, that sound technically didn't exist in the sample. So in this sample, I used the first marker as the first sound in the beat, which is the ending of the song as well. So notice how it sounds done, like finished. So next I added, I think, well, let's see, let's check it out. I think it's a pad, so check it out. And that pad was actually, what is that, pattern 4? Let's see what that is. Yeah, it's Omnisphere. So it was like a light, soft vocal pad that I chose to use with that, which accented really well with the sample chops, because it's a long sound and it's softer and it's not as choppy. And I mentioned this before, but you want to choose sounds that complement the prior sound. Like you always want to like listen to things in context, how they sound together, how they move together. Do they complement each other? You don't want to just kind of have things clashing. So next sound I added, I think it was a hi-hat. No, I went straight into the drums. So with the drums, what did I use? I used just some samples that I had, and I created my own pattern. I didn't use drums in the sample. I just added my own drums, which I'm sure I EQ'd into the, and I sent it to a drum group. So yeah, I did some EQing on the kick, some EQing on the snare, brought out certain elements, and I used compression in a drum group to make the drums sound just punchier and just, I don't know, more presence. So here it is with the drums. And next it was like a hi-hat. My bad, not a hi-hat, cymbal crash, excuse me. That came out dope. And next thing I added, let's find out. It's actually a bass line that I used with, I created in 3X OSC. You just lower these two oscillators and just use the first one, and then you can lower the octave. So it's a pretty straightforward bass. It's nothing too extravagant, and it's not an 808. You know, I think this beat was so popular because of the sample chopping that I chose to do. And speaking on that, you know, take these samples, man, and like create something totally you. Like what I was doing, I was just playing around with the sample. I was like making a song with the sample and just choosing different areas, like different. I just made a whole new melody out of this sample. If I played the sample by itself, you know, you'd be like, man, how the heck did that dude do that? So I was just, you know, kind of creating my own song just by, you know, making a melody with sample chops. So play around with that, because that made this beat. And also, you know, all the other sounds in it. But, you know, these sounds definitely complemented each other. So this this bass line, I chose to use this bass line because I thought this beat didn't need an 808. Sometimes you don't need it. I thought this bass line had like a southern feel to it. And with that sample, I was like, yo, this sounds kind of southern. So let me just stay with it and try this type of bass. So it came out good. So I'll play it again. And notice with the bass, I did like this cool little melody. Here, check it out. So it's pretty straightforward, nothing too crazy, but you know, it kind of it gives you that groove in the background. So and with your bass lines, they don't have to be complex, you know. Just notice it's really simple and just a little change up at the end. So next, I think it was a hi-hat. Excuse me, the hi-hat actually adds some stability to the beat. So check it out. Notice also what I do with the hi-hat for processing. Of course, I cut the lows. That way it cuts through a little better and eliminates those lower frequencies that I didn't need. But I also used, my bad, wrong hi-hat. I also used Panomatic. Notice it's going left to right over time. So that's a cool little free plugin that's in FL that you can use and get some nice little features. I mean, not features, but just little things you can do in your beat, panning it left to right in the background. See how it's going back and forth? So it's pretty dope. Next, I added this. I know you barely can hear it, but it's just something in the background. There's like these little echo plucks. Here it is by itself. So it's like a melody that's dancing or complementing with this melody. See? So little things like that just take your beat to the next level. And I think that's why, people are feeling this beat and buying it. So next, I added, I think this is the next hi-hat. It's another straightforward hi-hat. Yep. And I chose to do that just to give it some more stability, because there was a lot of movement in other areas. And you want to keep that in mind too, because when you have that much movement, you kind of want to bring it down a little bit, some stability, so that way the artist can kind of feel it more, the listener can feel it more. Because I know us producers, we love to be creative. We love to do some crazy stuff, automation and all that. But remember, your listener's still a listener. They're not creating music. It's a different side, and you kind of want to tone it down or just bring it back home with something a little steady. And it helps the rapper kind of, think about like how they want to write their rhymes, what type of cadence they want and stuff like that. So lastly, I think was just a small percussion element, I believe. Just a little shaker that's changing just 2 notes. All right, I'm gonna let the beat play into the verse here. So there you go. That's most of the elements. There's one little vocal thing that I didn't mention that I put in there, but you get the idea. I noticed I did use halftime on the second part of the verse on the sample. So let me hear the difference and see what I did here. So notice there's a very slight difference between pattern 1 and pattern 3. Pattern 3 has that underlining melody in the background, almost like it's dragging. So I think I was in my creative element when I did that. because it's not very apparent in the beat, because it's already brought less than half down, and I just threw it in there. So nothing significant, but just something I guess I was feeling when I made the beat. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Notice there's change ups here and there and a nice little breakdown before the chorus. But I think the key to this beat was how I did a sample flip. And sample flipping is fun. You can, pitch it, stretch it, make totally different melodies. And this is a good example of how to make, your own melody out of a sample with different chops. And there's tons of plugins that let you manipulate sample chops, and like you can just really go ham with it, where you're changing one slice into a whole nother pitch and having each different pitch under the same scale. Like you can really get creative with it, and you can layer slices and stuff like that. Notice actually that's what I did. I did layer. Here, check it out. These two sounds, like I mentioned earlier, it's a short guitar, two different guitar chords layered on top of each other, and it sounds dope. Here, I layered three things. Here's two. So I was just kind of really in my creative element and just exploring, having fun with it. And that's what making beats all about. That's what music's about, is exploring and having fun with it and just making something dope. So hopefully you liked the video. Hopefully you liked the beat. And if you learned something, that's what it's all about. Hopefully I help, share something where you can take it and make it even better. And hopefully, help you get more plays, more sales as well, and stuff like that. So anyway, again, it's DJ Fanatic Beats, content contributor for LiveOffBeats.com. Again, if you like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at DJ Fanatic Beats, or Instagram as well at Sounds for Producers. And I'll see you in the next video. Enjoy, y'all. Peace.